Welcome to Hickory Street Podcast. This is episode 4 with Joshua Olivo and Cameron Sather of the band Worst Case Scenario.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for coming. I really enjoy your music.
Thank you. Thanks.
I was listening to that album, and as soon as I heard it, I sent it to my friend Justin because he's a big Blink-182 fan.
Hell yeah.
And your sound is very Blink-182, but you also have a lot of songs that I think it was called Check Engine Light. That song reminds me of a J Church song.
I've never heard of J Church.
Really?
I don't know
You should check out J Church.
What are they? How long have they been around?
Like early 90s?
Okay. That's like right up my alley then.
I think, yeah. It might have been like mid-90s.
Like that first record, because we've been a band, like me and my guitarist Juan, we've been a band since like 2011. We consider it. But it was one of those things where it's like, neither of us knew how to play instruments, but we both liked music a lot, so we just kind of called ourselves a band. And then whenever we started playing, we just did covers of like songs without drums.
Okay.
And so like a lot of the songs on that record were like the beginnings of them were started in 2011. I'm trying to think of like something off the top of my head right now.
So that's when the band started? It really is 2011?
2018 is when I would consider it more of a start, because that's whenever we really met Cameron and whenever we started becoming more of like a real band.
Gotcha.
But like the beginnings of the record and for sure the band definitely started in 2011, I think. I know Friend Zone was a song that was written pretty old. Socially Awkward is the oldest song on the record. I think that one was written 2015? 2013?
Okay.
Yeah. No, that one's old, man.
So this has been a pretty consistent progression for you then. It wasn't like you started playing shows as soon as you started writing songs. It was like you wrote a bunch of songs and then just kind of sat on them and got other people. And
I think it helps out. I think like when you start becoming a musician, you kind of start with like little notes and stuff that you think sound good, and then you write a song, and then 2 weeks later you kind of write a better song, and then you just take apart what you become as a musician, and you just grow. And I think that like that's kind of what this was, and I think it's a lot better to like kind of do it like that and really sit on it and really grow on it, because I don't know, when you just start as a band, sometimes you just don't want people to find that early stuff. I know the Wonder Years, they hate like their first EP they ever put out.
Yeah,
they hate it. So I mean, I think it's good that like we released something that like I can look back at it right now at least and be like, yo, it's still sick. Like everything on that record, pretty sick.
Cool, man. Well, so how old were you whenever you started playing?
Excuse me, like 8th grade, 9th grade.
Okay.
So around there was whenever
like 15.
Puberty starts hitting and you get that little musical buzz. You just start listening to like more. Like I had a little MP3 player with just like I Miss You and all the small things on it, and I would listen to that over and over and over. And then like one day I just like, I was scared to like listen to the rest of the music, so I was like, well, my favorite band right now is Blink because I like 2 of their songs, and I was so scared of like, but what if like I listen to one of their songs and I don't like it, then I lose my favorite band.
Yeah.
I was dumb. And so I just listened to other music, and then after a while I was like, bro, everything they do is sick. And then I was just like, I would love to totally do that, but like I was like, I can't play anything. And then also I was like really nervous. I thought I would look stupid on stage. So
everybody feels that way, honestly.
I went for the drums first, but drums are fucking hard.
Yeah,
drums
are much. Yeah, definitely. Well, that's cool. So that's kind of how it was. Did you have just like always have a musical interest even from like a really young age? For me, it seemed just sort of like before I knew that I wanted to play an instrument, I knew that I was obsessed with music already. Like whenever I was really young, I would catch on to songs and I'd just like sing them around the house and like learn lyrics, and I don't know, I just got really into it from a really young age. Is that kind of how it was for you? It was more so like an impulse. Did it feel like an impulse to you? Just like something you just naturally gravitated towards? No? Oh, okay.
Well, like growing up, for me anyway, my household was kind of weird. And so, like, I never really got, like, to go play sports and stuff because I didn't really, like, hang out with kids. And I just kind of stayed at home a lot and played games. And I considered myself a gamer because it was just fun to do. But, like, I really looked at it and I was like, I only play, like, 2 games. And I, like, play them, like, religiously. It was, like, Smash Brothers and, like, Animal Crossing. And, like, that was fun for me. Like, that's it. But yeah, eventually whenever I was like in 8th grade, I'm like, I'm not a gamer. Like I can't play sports. I don't like sports. Like what am I really into? And then just like I said, I would just listen to music every now and again. And then I just started getting more into like Blink-182, and then I started getting more into Green Day. And then whenever I met him, Juan, our guitarist, like we just bonded instantly on like video games. But then that quickly turned into just like being like, hey man, check out this cool band that I found, and it would be like Sum 41, and we just listen to like In Too Deep on the car ride, like not the car, but the bus ride to school.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't know, just after a while of just listening to music, like I kind of got into it, and then everyone at that time, like 2010, was all into like metal and stuff. And so whenever they'd be like, oh, what do you listen to? Oh, I listen to Blink and Green Day and Sum 41. Like it wasn't the mainstream, so it was just kind of like it was crazy, like be right back into that outcast thing that like punk rock kind of was, and then it went mainstream, and then it kind of went back into that, because everyone would be like, you don't listen to Dance Galvin Dance? Like, what? And it's like, no. Like, I don't. I know. Or like All Time Low, you don't listen to them? It's like, well, not really.
I kind of know what you mean there. So you were like kind of a gamer for a little bit? You just got...
I considered myself, but I don't think so. I ever was.
Oh, okay.
I considered myself, but no.
Yeah, I don't know. See, I kind of got into video games a little bit whenever I was a kid, but I was actually really into sports, but music was something that just kind of grabbed my attention from a really young age, and just kind of always had kind of a different music taste than the people that I grew up with for some reason. I guess my dad had a lot to do with that. He listened to a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, so that's cool though that you just kind of started hanging. So you were like one of the original members of the band then too. So.
We met in 7th grade.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a guitar that it was under my bed. I didn't know what to do with it. And when I first met him, he came over. I was like, "Oh, that's a really cool guitar. What do we do with it? Just strum it mindlessly, not know what we're doing." But when he got a bass, that's what it was like. That was it. You were like, "Let's go to your dad's garage.
Dude,
let's figure out these instruments."
I think we thought that was it, but that wasn't even it. Cause like you tried playing with no drums, and like you're like, okay, that sounds good, but I think you're just trying to be nice to each other. Like you're just like, dude, that sounds good, and he's like, you think so? Yeah, you sound good too, bro. And it's like, thanks, man.
Just supporting each other.
Yeah. And then like, I don't know. In 2018, we I just kind of, or it must have been like end of 2017. Yeah. End of 2017, early 2018. But I just felt like the band wasn't really progressing anywhere. This is before we had even written like half of the record still. We still had like a handful of songs that weren't that great. And so I was like, well, I'm turning 20, and like we're just not doing anything. And so like we either have to buckle down and like do it for realsies, or we have to just like let it go. And I was like, well, let's at least try it like really hard. And like that's why they call it the worst case scenario, but it's like the worst case scenario of it all. If it fails and it doesn't go anywhere, at least we have a really cool record to like listen to and say something we did.
Yeah.
And so like that's kind of how we kept going with it on like the worst case scenario of like, if we do it this way, you know, well, at least we'll have this. And so we put an ad on Craigslist, and then Cameron hit us up.
And all right.
Craigslist.
Yeah, dude, Craigslist.
How long ago was that? How long have you been in the band?
I guess, I mean, I started playing with them around 2017, yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we just kind of, what was the Craigslist ad? I was just always hopping on there, like, looking for gigs and everything, and so we got together, and, like, I learned the songs, and, you know, we would jam and everything, and it was kind of on and off. I don't think we started gigging. I don't know if we gigged back then.
We only gigged February 14th of 2018. That was our first one.
The Free Links show.
Yeah, and then we gigged near the end of it. And the only reason, like, we did the 3 Links show, and, like, I wasn't too happy with it just because we had a lot of issues. But, I mean, it was our first show. I couldn't expect much.
Your first show's at 3 Links? That's pretty badass.
Yeah. We were practicing in my dad's shop, and we were playing Socially Awkward, and this guy comes back there, and he's like, oh, like, what song was that? And we told him it was ours, and he was like, oh, just play it again. And we're like, okay. So we started playing it, and, like, he's talking to my dad in the shop, and then my dad tells me that he's friends with a promoter, and that his promoter's putting on a show, and he really, like, fucks with our sound. They wanted to get us on the bill, and we're like, okay. But he said in order for us to get on the bill, we had to, like, get, I think, like, 300 plays on one of our songs on, like, YouTube, and we thought that was weird. But we just promoted it super hard because it was our first show, and we wanted to play at 3 Links. and we opened for I know American Minority played that night. I think I know Houston and the Dirty Rats definitely played. The Ellen DeGenerates and a couple other bands that are like blanking on me.
They're good. They're cool.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you played with them your first show.
Yeah.
That's badass, dude.
Dude. All right, we decided to open that show with the cover of "Damn It" because like we didn't have very much content for our set, so like we'll open with "Damn It," and we started right before that set started. I jumped, tried to like get into it, and I slammed my bass head right into the mic. And I had to stop and grab the bass mic, and then the whole band's going, and I just started, and then like I threw my entire bass out of tune.
Oh fuck!
That whole show.
it was a wild show.
That whole show, man. But it was like
it.
30 people were all there. It was all friends and family. And then I feel like I saw people coming through from like outside when we were doing soundtrack.
That's a cool first show story.
But yeah, no. After that show, we stopped playing for a minute because we just kind of lost the steam on it, and we weren't really doing anything anymore. And then Cameron hit us up around November, and he was like, "Yo, like, are y'all doing anything soon?" And we were just like, I think me and Juan overthought it heavy, but we were just like, "Yo, he hit us up, bro. Like, he hit us up. Like, that has to mean something." But in hindsight, we was probably just looking for work. But we were just like, "Bro, he liked it, bro. Let's keep going."
No, I've always loved
Thank you.
the music.
So, but have you guys been like relatively active since 2017, or have you just
2018 was our
2018.
The end of 2018 was our big year.
Okay.
Because at the end of 2018, we started recording the first record around like November then, and then we had the record finished by like early January, and then we were like, well, when do we release it? And so we were like, let's give it a month, and we'll promo it super hard. And so February 14th was the very first day. I mean, it was the very first show we ever played, 3 Links in 2018.
So, but you've been playing consistently since then?
Yeah. So all of 2019 we did around a show every month, I believe. Yeah, and then this year it's looking a lot of the same. We just recently got with the people in Sick Tight, which is...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, it's Ryan Sword of New Heroes, and it's kind of his thing, and he like does this whole thing, and he hit us up and said that he liked us and wanted us to be on, like, not really be on their label, but be on their label and like really get stuff going.
Okay.
So we are super down. We're like trying to get stuff done and hopefully play more shows and like release a new record on February 14th, the EP and all that stuff. Did you listen to it and everything though?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
The songs that you sang?
Yeah, the faster ones and everything.
Yeah, it sounds great. Where did you record? Did you record on the album too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I recorded most of the tracks on the album, and then Leo Aguilero, I think is that how you say his last name?
Aguero.
He recorded on a few other songs on there.
Leo, the drummer from he used to play in Begotten, but now he's been Slit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like he did drums for us on the record, but we recorded it at Centennial Studios.
JoJo's place.
Yeah, JoJo.
Never heard of that place.
He does stuff for Begotten.
I know JoJo just because you've talked about him.
Love that man,
before,
dude. Always huge shout out to JoJo.
He just runs like
Magic.
a home studio, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But magic.
Those are the best, honestly. Like if you just get the right person who has the perfect space and knows what they're doing, you can get some great stuff out of a home studio. And it's like less, I guess, rushed to do it that way than it would
feels
be.
a little more comfortable than like
comfortable.
You did an entire like album in a day with JoJo.
Yeah, we went over there and we wanted to write like an EP and put it out, like put it up onto distribution and everything within 24 hours.
Oh shit.
And we ended up with like 4 instrumental tracks that we wrote. It was crazy. It was like pulling an all-nighter and everything, and
damn.
we ended up, it's called 15 Hours. We put it under Light Cycle.
Oh, so it's been released. It's under the name Light Cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
cool. It's like 80s
some cool
synthwave
shit.
instrumental kind of stuff. It's fun.
Nice.
That's some cool shit, man.
Instrumental music. I've just sort of grown a huge appreciation for it and a mild obsession for it. Like if I can find really cool instrumental band, I'll just be hooked on it. And like, have you heard of they're not 100% instrumental, but I recently discovered a band called Elephant Gym.
Oh, they're so good.
Oh man,
yeah.
Yes. And it's not just, one album. It's like each album is, do they just push the limits?
Yeah.
I feel like, at least with songwriting, and like, you can tell they incorporate a couple of different styles into their playing as well.
I feel like there's a lot of instrumental groups around Denton. A lot more like different options.
Yeah, there's definitely starting to be more instrumental music, which is a great thing.
How long have you been in the music scene, like in Denton and everything?
Well, I moved out to Denton about 4 years ago. I started playing music whenever I was 15, and I started my band whenever I was 18. And we've been a band ever since, but it's kind of like, but after like 2016, I joined another band, and I was really involved in that band and just kind of let the other one just become a recording project. And in like 2017, started getting members again, started doing stuff again, and then there was some, just life circumstances for some of the members I was playing with at the time that kind of drew them away from the project. And so I recently just kind of found new members, and we've been playing together since August now. So we're trying to get back to a more consistent show schedule, but we haven't been extremely active since like 2016. We just kind of been playing shows here and there, and whenever we get a cool opportunity, we'll take it. And we try to set up our own shows too. It's a little difficult.
Hard.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. It can be difficult, just as far as like trying to find the right venue, getting people to contact you back, and like you just kind of have to be persistent. But I really like setting up my own shows because I feel like I kind of want to get into booking shows like after I graduate college, and maybe even later in life, like becoming like setting up my own shows with bands that sound really cool, and like making it more cohesive. Because I feel like I'm good at ordering bands and getting in contact with bands that sound similar or fit very well on a bill together. And now that I've been sort of actively paying attention to the music scene since I moved out to Denton, I've kind of gotten to a point where I feel like it would be much easier to do that sort of thing.
We naively tried to do a record release show, like homemade, put together. And I think if I remember correctly, I tried to find a venue that would do it for us, like a place where we could be like, oh, let's do it here.
Right.
But I think I messaged like 2 or 3 venues, and then I just got directed to like their show bookers, and then like it was like 2 or 3 months in advance of what we were trying to do. But like everybody was like, yo, we're booked, or they just didn't want to work with us. And like for us, it was like, well, it's our record release show. We would preferably like to headline it, but like to promote it, I completely understand it. Why would you put a headliner of a band who technically has like 20 followers on Spotify? I totally get that,
Yeah.
And we had like a set date that we wanted to do it on and everything, and I understand why we had a hard time finding it. So we decided, well, let's just DIY it. My dad has a shop, like an auto body shop, and so we were like, let's do it there. We'll hold the thing there. We'll get our own PA. We'll like get our own bands. We got a flatbed truck, and that was like the stage that we used. And
yeah, just make it a party. See, that's another cool thing.
And dude, that was hard. Dealing with one band is hard. Getting communication between 5 different. Dude, we talked with one different band for like a month, and then we played a show with them like within that month. So we talked to them, we're like, oh yeah, are you guys ready for the show? And like their singer was like, what show? And we're just like. Well, we were talking to the drummer, right? And they're like,
it's a lot of mental gymnastics.
Yeah, man.
The biggest thing that I've noticed as far as being like somewhat of a frustration whenever it comes to booking shows is just working around everybody's schedule, and then also making sure and following up so that they remember.
I wonder if it's easier if like.
Or like taking admin responsibilities and like making event pages and that sort of thing. It definitely is a lot of work.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wonder if it's easier if like every band like they do it for a living. Like I imagine it's super harder in local music just because everybody has different work schedules, everybody has families.
Yeah, there's that, but also just availability.
Yeah, there's so many different schedules to compare.
Yeah, and then you have to worry about venues closing down,
Yeah.
and then something else being opened up, and that's been another hurdle for me at least. Is like once you get in with a cool place, and you feel like you could do shows there. If you just take a little bit of a break and don't keep up with what's happening at that venue, the person who was initially like handling the shows at that venue or whatever could be moving on and doing something completely different. They're not even doing shows anymore or whatever, so there's someone else that you don't know that's now handling the venue. So it's like, how do I get in contact with that person now? I've never met that person. So that's just kind of a hurdle, but just be patient. I would say it's good experience as a band to try and set up your own shows.
Oh no, like I never meant it in like a complaining way. I meant it like that's what we had to do to like get that off the ground, and like at the end of the day, like I was super proud of it. I mean, I think that there were some things that could have been done better, but it was our first ever like DIY show that we put in at a DIY venue like completely. And so like I ultimately think that was a success. I think it's a win. I mean, it was super cool, and like we have a recap video of it. And just like the recap video just looks fun, dude. And like like my dad's shop is right off of Buckner Boulevard, in Dallas, and so like a lot of people were just like slowing down and putting their emergency lights on and just chilling on the road and just like watching the bands play for like 10 seconds and then drive away.
Really?
And I was like, that's cool. Like shit like that doesn't happen at a normal venue, you know?
No.
And it's like, it was really cool that happened because of like how we decided to run things, you know? It's really cool whenever something happens because you made it happen. I don't know. It's like it's like ultra 2-year-old speak, but it's like satisfying. Yeah.
I'm all for shows in interesting venues or locations. You know, non-traditional shows.
Yeah, it's got a different feel to it.
Right. Yeah, it just feels more like a party, and that just takes the.
To an extent, I think.
Well, it takes the environment a different direction. Like whenever you're playing at an actual venue, sometimes it's like, all right, I'm gonna be up on the stage. It's gonna be a big venue. There's not that many people there. It just like feels weird and awkward, even though there's no like particular reason to. It's just just kind of a weird night or whatever. But with a non-traditional venue, it's a better setting to walk up to someone that you don't know. For sure. I feel like than in like a traditional venue. Sometimes
I think I'm just not jaded to it yet. Like I really like it when we play a venue, even if like the venue has like 2 people in there, because at least you're mic'd up and like you just hear yourself playing and you just sound good and it's just like fuck. But whenever you're like playing house shows and stuff, like it's definitely a lot more fun. It's a lot more like easier. I don't know. I just think it's to an extent there becomes a part where for the person coming to see your show, it's affected by the venue that you're playing. Like if you're playing in like a living room and it's like a house show, at what point is comfortability sacrificed for the person watching it and where they won't like your band because they associate your band with the bad experience they had with the venue?
Right. Yeah.
And so like I don't know. I think I'm just jaded to it. I prefer venues right now, but I mean like I definitely love going out and playing shows. I remember we did a house show one time where I jumped in the pool after the end. That was cool. I mean, I don't know. They're fun.
Yeah, no, they're definitely
no
fun.
rules.
And that's what's really cool about Denton is just the house venue community around here is they're very reasonable and laid back people.
Yeah.
And like the people that go to the shows are very
it's super
community
respectful.
oriented.
Yeah, it's so supportive.
Yeah, just really supportive, and as long as you're not acting like a jerk and doing something you're not supposed to, then it's a great scene to be a part of.
For sure.
It really is.
It's a pleasant surprise how like for me how nice the community is. You imagine like when it comes to like businesses and like music and stuff like that, you imagine like it's just cutthroat. Like everyone's just mean, rude as fuck. They all want to get there and they don't care how they get there. But, like the community is so nice.
Well, and that's another interesting thing about music is that personality has a lot to do with it. Sometimes it has nothing to do with the kind of music that someone's playing or like the kind of musician that someone is. Sometimes it just comes down to personality clashes, and so, you know, sometimes you just can't be friends with someone. Like you know, there's just but there's not. It doesn't necessarily mean you hate the person or you hate their band or something. It's just like you know, we don't mix well personality wise. Like there's a few people that I've jammed with and stuff where I really like their music and I was able to play, you know, along with them kind of well, but it's just, you know, personality wise we just didn't gel.
Yeah,
and
I mean you have to spend so much time together outside of like the music. Like you kind of have to have a mix of both.
Yeah,
like be able to hang and everything.
Yeah, and then just be able to like just communicate well. Make sure you don't just like being careful about how you word things and like how you say things through like text message or whatever, you know, whenever you're getting into contact with them, trying to like schedule practice days and stuff. But most people that you know you meet in the music community are very open-minded people, very nice, courteous people, and that's, you know, and that's even if you can't like personality-wise be friends with someone doesn't mean that you're like not you can't be cordial with them or whatever, or like still support their band. Like they're a good musician. Like just because whatever happened doesn't mean you can't still like root for them. Like, all right, you're doing good stuff, man. Sort of a thing. So cool. Well, so I already actually kind of answered like 2 of my questions.
Dude,
so
we can keep going. Like I personally prefer like the longer podcasts.
Oh yeah.
Like I love just talking to you. I don't know.
Yeah. No.
I don't want to overshadow people. I want everybody to talk.
Yeah. I just kind of keep this open ended. However much you want to say, however long you want to talk. Like I mean, as long as it's not 24 hours, I'm good. I'm not gonna spend all day with you. No, I'm just joking. So what kind of influences were you kind of already mentioned a little bit? Just Blink-182.
Yeah.
But
I think it's so different like now more than ever. I think we're all listening to like such 3 different things. When the band definitely started, like I said, we wrote most of the record when Juan and I were younger, and that was like just straight pop punk all the way, Blink-182, Green Day. But we got older and we kind of started like diverging. I got a lot more into like modern pop punk. I know I said in the beginning like I didn't listen to All Time Low like whenever I was in high school, and I didn't. But whenever I got out of high school, I started listening to it, and I was like, yo, this is pretty sick, you know? Like, I just found the Story So Far last year, and they're, like, I think one of my favorite bands of all time now. Like, everything they've put out.
All Time Low?
So good. All Time Low's okay. Story So Far is what I mean.
Oh, the Story So Far.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Amazing. But, I mean, like, yeah, I've kind of started getting into it. My guitarist, Juan, really got into, like, rap. He really started getting into, like, West Coast rap. I don't know if you noticed on the picture you put up of us.
Yeah.
He's wearing a shirt that says the DOC, which was an old rapper from the 80s, Dallas O'Cliff.
I didn't see that.
Dude, he used to hang out with like NWA and shit, dude.
Really?
The DOC, yeah. No one can do it better.
We actually got some kid from Garland to meet Dr. Dre and got him featured on Compton.
What?
Yeah.
That's cool. I had no idea.
Yeah, dude. And like...
Never heard that story.
He's like so into that. And then Cameron, I don't really know what you're into, but I know that like you were into math rock when I met you, and I know you listen to Mac Miller. And...
It's been like all over the place. I'd say for this kind of stuff, I definitely bring a lot of like Blink and Linkin Park kind of influences into. I've just always looked up to Travis Barker as a drummer. And his playing, I just feel like he has such unique ideas while still like nailing the punk vibe really well.
Yes, yeah, and I was listening to a podcast with him on it, and he was explaining that rap was actually like one of his earliest. Like
I read his book because I'm just such a huge fan of Blink, and like his book. So good. He talks about his rap influences. He talks about how he started playing growing up, and he starts talking about like some of the early days of Blink, some of the later days.
Oh, he has like an autobiography.
Yeah, dude.
It's such a good read.
Is it?
Yeah.
Can I say
he lives a very interesting life. Not so much now, but like I mean,
it's written from like mostly his point of view and like his wording too. So it's like.
Okay,
a bunch of cursing and shit like that, and it's just awesome, like hearing his story from that perspective and how it affected him.
Do you know the band NoFX?
Yeah,
they released an autobiography as well, and like that one, I really enjoy the Travis Barker one, but I fuck with there's so much more. They have a full audio book on YouTube. I'm pretty sure they put it up there themselves because they're just like total DIY like that, and they read it themselves. So it's like each chapter is written by a member of the band, and like each member reads that chapter to you as you listen to it. And it's like 8 hours long, but like if you're ever on a shift and you got nothing to do, like it's the coolest book just to listen to and just lose your mind, because like they talk about punk in the 80s, they talk about what it was like being a local band, they talk about when they got big, they talk about whenever they were really big and they were like, we want to go back to playing venues, so they did a South America tour so they can go play like smaller house shows and shit. And like they talk about everything, their political views, all years of it. So good. Like what a fucking book.
Yeah, they're a very interesting band. They had this one song, I want to say it's called The Great Divide.
I know, yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think that was one of their records, I think. I'm not sure.
Okay. All
Someone's
I know
killing themselves to me.
is it's like this long 8-minute or like 6-minute song or something.
The Decline.
The Decline.
It's
I
like
don't know
a 15-minute long EP and it's one song.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I had a friend of mine whenever I first started playing open mics. I lived in Paris, Texas, and so there was like nothing to do out there, and I played guitar and like was just at a party one time and started playing with some older dudes in their 30s. I was like 18. I was like playing some like Pixies songs in their living room at a party one time, and so I started playing open mics pretty frequently. And one of the guys, his name was John Grigsby. he played the Divide or the Decline. Yeah. Like in its entirety on an acoustic guitar at an open mic. They were like, all right, you can have like 15 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever. He just did the whole thing.
Wow. Yeah. That's dedication to even learn the whole thing. Yeah. That's like learning Jesus of Suburbia by Green Day. It's like that one's like a 12 minutes long, I think. Granted, a lot easier.
Yeah. Cool. So what about you, Cameron? What are your influences besides Mac Miller?
Well, I grew up on a lot of Linkin Park. That's probably like the main influence of mine.
I did too. That was like one of my early that was like my childhood almost.
Nice.
The In the End EP or whatever.
What was that? Hybrid Theory, I think.
Hybrid Theory, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember just putting that on in my backyard on my porch whenever I was in like 3rd, 4th grade or whatever, and just listening to it on repeat.
Yeah. Man, I love those albums.
What album is that where it has like a guy like just like spray painting some shit on the ground?
Meteora.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really good one.
That's my favorite.
Dude, I remember I was at my house, like in my apartment thing, and it was like 4 a.m, and I was just like walking around. It must have been like 2012 or 2013. So I was just like walking around, and like I'm opening up drawers and shit, just looking for shit. I'm bored, and I found that record just in like a little cupboard, like those little ones that were like, it was just, you just throw a bunch of shit in like a drawer, you know, in the kitchen. I just opened it and I found it, and I like asked my dad, and I was like, what is this? I don't know where it came from. He says he doesn't know where it came from. I don't know where it came from. My older sister, younger, they don't know.
You still have it?
No, I lost that. But I mean, I opened it and I just didn't have the record in it, but I had YouTube, so I just went to YouTube and looked it up. But I mean,
I remember when Minutes to Midnight came out, the one that has what is it? I'm blanking on the name of the popular song off that, but it was
in Waiting for the End. I don't know. Might be wrong.
Something like that. Yeah, What I've Done.
The Transformers one, dude. That was my shit.
And that one came out, and I was probably in like 6th or 7th grade, something like that. And it had the explicit tag on there. I picked it up from Best Buy and was like driving back, and then my parents asked to see the disc and saw the explicit tag on it. We immediately like turned back around to return it to Best Buy, and I was it's like no. I was like playing as many songs as I could on the little orange Walkman. Like
that's funny. That's hilarious.
Dude, I've never had something like that happen to me. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think by the time they released that album, there was only one song I liked, which was, I think it was called Bleed or something. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Was that from the same album? If it wasn't, it might have been the album after that.
It was probably off of Hybrid Theory.
I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So that was like the last song that I really liked off of them, but
they had some really good music, like on everything they put out.
They had such like a different vibe. Like every member had such a unique, I feel like, approach to music that they just mashed together. And
yeah, they were a very unique band in like what they did with rock and rap, and then making it have some sort of pop and experimental sensibility to it. Very impressive for musicians to be able to do that.
For a while, I really got into like listening to just a cappella vocal tracks, because it's interesting to see what like different vocalists do to like give you different effects and different, like, I don't know. Some people have like a certain style of like recording when it comes to like bands and stuff, and like they just have this distinct sound where you just listen to it and it sounds just like them. Yeah. And like when you listen to a cappella tracks, you can kind of really hear that kind of stuff. Like if you ever listen to their more popular ones, those are the only ones you can really find, like Numb, like for Linkin Park, or for like not for What I've Done, what is this? Waiting Till the End, stuff like that. If you ever listen to a cappella, it's fucking beautiful, dude. Like they're so good at singing.
Check that out. That sounds
dude,
cool.
They're really cool. I like stuff by My Chemical Romance is really cool. Anything by Green Day is cool, where they're not like where they have like multiple harmonies and stuff.
Well, it's funny, that story about the Linkin Park CD or whatever. Something similar happened to me. So my first CD ever was a Green Day Dookie CD. I was like 10. I was like, actually, I probably was younger than that. I was probably like 8 or 9. And my mom asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and that was like one of the CDs I wanted for Christmas. So she actually got it for me, and then like on Christmas Day I was listening to it, and my mom came up and asked me, she was like, does that have cuss words on it? And I was like, oh yeah. I was like proud of it. And she took it back and got me a Creed CD.
Dude, I've never heard of like parents being like really like crazy about that. I know my cousin, like the only thing I'd ever heard about that, my cousin, I went over to his house one time when we were like 15, and he had LimeWire still, and like he was still downloading like rap songs, but like they would also like clean version. And I was like, what is this? Or like in his YouTube, they would all be like the rap song, but they would all be clean versions. And I was like, what is this? Like, oh, my mom freaks out if I like get the dirty versions. And I was like, what? I've never, because my dad, like whenever Linkin Park would be on, he'd turn it up, and 3 Days Grace would be on, he'd turn it up, but then shit like Regulate would come on, he'd turn that shit up too, My dad listened to like everything, so like I was used to that kind of shit, I guess.
Yeah, LimeWire, those were the good old days.
Yeah, I've completely bypassed that because my mom can't read English. I just make sure not to listen to it around her. Because, like, if it has fuck in it, I'm not going to listen to it nearby her. Let's just be safe.
Nice. Yeah, I miss LimeWire. I remember being in middle school, and I got, like, one of those cheap-ass, like, fake iPod MP3 players. You know what I'm talking about?
I had one of those.
Yeah, and I just used LimeWire and just downloaded tons of music.
And fucked your shit up.
Anything. Just like, I listened to a lot of Dave Matthews Band.
Oh, yeah.
Counting Crows and Helmet and Oleander. I really liked Oleander.
When you were like in that weird, awkward state of music, what was like your guilty pleasure one? I just had a bunch of anime openings.
Nice.
I mean, I guess I didn't. I mean, I never really liked pops or rap whenever I was growing up, except for like old school rap like Snoop Dogg and NWA, and like I never really got into like early 2000s music, even though I was surrounded by it in middle school. Just never really got heavily into it. I guess the most embarrassing thing as far as like my musical interests, whenever I was 7, I was heavily into Backstreet Boys and NSYNC.
Hell yeah, Backstreet's back, baby.
Yeah.
I even took like dance lessons.
No way.
You gotta show me.
Yeah, my mom signed me up for dance lessons, and I was in like a dance club for a year. I wanted to be I wanted to be a Backstreet Boy. That was probably But then after that, after I got out of dance.
What was your first concert then?
Like music wise,
Yeah.
just playing. It was kind of a similar situation from your story. So, whenever I was 18, I went to college in Paris, Texas, and then by the time the year was up and I was 19, I moved back home and like just didn't have money to go to the school anymore because they didn't accept student loans, and so I just went to the local community college and lived with my parents for like 6 months or whatever. But whenever I moved back home that summer, I was working as a lifeguard, and through one of my lifeguard co-workers, he played guitar, and he knew this guy that played bass, and so we were just hanging out at a party. We smoked a little bit of pot, and they were like, my friend Eric at the time was like, "Hey, Michael writes songs. We should hang out." And so he like brought up a guitar, and I played one of my songs at the party. And so we spent the rest of the summer learning I think I had a notebook of like 100 songs or something, or just the notebook was filled up. I don't know how many pages it was, but we went through and learned them all. And then one day, I was just like, you know what, we need to like play in front of people, but we didn't know anybody. So we set up. I had a friend of mine who lived, like across the street from my high school. We went to high school together, and his like driveway was right on like the main street or whatever. And so we just set up in his front yard and played for like 2 hours. And that was
People stop and like.
Yeah, and that was our first show, and then
Did y'all have 2 hours worth of content, or did y'all just like repeat songs after a while?
we had about an hour worth of material at that
crazy.
point.
Nice.
And so we just did everything twice and then called it a day.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then so after that we wanted like a more official show. And there was this girl I went to high school with I think her name was Alex or Jasmine or something. I can't even remember now. But I had tried to start a band with her in high school. We played the talent show, and that was like technically my first ever show, but I don't consider that my first show.
Yeah,
Because it was just so bad. But and it was only one song. So but her dad owned this hall in Dallas, actually. I can't remember where exactly in Dallas, but it used to be in like an event hall. They would have quinceañeras and just weddings and different parties and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I just rented it out for like $200, and we just played a show to all of my lifeguard co-workers. And
hell yeah.
And that was technically, I guess, our first show as the band as it exists today.
Him and I, my guitarist and I, we used to play like in school and stuff. We would take our guitars to school because we were those guys, and like every now and again the teacher would be like, didn't want to do work, and like, what do you play? And we're like, oh, we play this. And I'm like, we'll play a song. And I would text him like, bro, G building right now, bro, like come down here. And he would just run down there. We would play like a song, but like it was like all acoustic. It didn't sound great. I think like him and I both just played power chords at the exact same time because we didn't. Because I didn't have any bass. We didn't have a bass, just two guitars, and we didn't have any leads because we didn't expect to have a lead. So we just played both power chords. And then like after a while, I was the only one singing too. So people just kind of looked at him like, why is he here?
Yeah, I was actually really nervous for a long time when playing music. I got obsessed with it. Whenever I started playing guitar, I would spend 8 hours a day in the summertime whenever I was like 16 or 15 or whatever, and would just play all day as much as I could. And I almost like, I wouldn't say almost failed, but I did poorly in some classes because of my guitar obsession and just music obsession in high school. But I still always tried to make a B. That was like my goal. But
Were you good in school, Cameron?
I just took regular classes.
Okay.
I was like not really interested in much of anything besides music.
Yeah, me too. I didn't do any like AP classes or anything. I kind of slacked off.
I almost failed high school.
Me too. Bro, we almost both failed high school together, man. Fuck.
Yeah.
High school was hard, dude.
Yeah, it was.
You gotta go to class sometimes. Shit's hard.
Oh man, I just had a sitting in a classroom. I had to be the guy that either pissed off the teacher because I was just making too many like sarcastic jokes or whatever while they were trying to go through a lesson, or I was just sleeping. Like that was that was me. In high school
I'd always
for
have my
the most part.
earbuds in like the back corner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to believe I tried. I like to believe I like sat in the middle and I tried to like be a decent student. But then like after a while, I don't know. Teachers abuse their power like in class, man. They like tell you to stop talking like when you know you're not doing shit, or like I don't know. And just after a while, you just like want to tell you like fuck you, dude. Like
yeah.
chill the fuck out. Like I'm doing my work. I'm not doing. I have a headphone on, yeah, but I'm paying attention. Like I make the class. I make the grades, right? So just leave me alone.
Yeah.
But then like I don't know.
That's what's
And then you get kicked out of class.
Yeah.
Oh,
See-
yeah.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was like, when I wrote Socially Awkward, it was just a song about me being fed up with high school. So like a lot of the lyrics is just like shit talking people in high school, or just like the aspects of high school. I was just like, I'm done with it.
For sure. I think that should definitely like be noted too. Like worst case scenario when it comes to writing, like it's never just fully one person. I don't think so. Like usually it's always like I love writing music with Juan because he's like my filter. Like I think as myself as a songwriter I'm pretty mediocre. I think like I know what sounds safe and I know what sounds decent, and I think that like when I start doing that, after a while, if you just do that over and over and over, you have a really mediocre song and a really mediocre like set list because you're just doing the same thing over and over. But I think like writing with Juan, when I like ham something in, like he's the guy that's always just like, let's not do that. Like that doesn't sound great. And like I'll be annoyed because I just want, the whole reason why I phone stuff in is because like my intention is like put it there, leave it alone, come back later if something sounds better. But like I think it forces you to like be more creative, and it forces you to like be like do something. And then obviously like playing with Cameron makes everything 30 times easier too, because you can hear stuff as like a full sound, and you can really hear like what's gonna sound good, what's gonna sound awkward, what's gonna sound bad. And
Yeah, everyone brings like their own process to like writing.
And it's fun, dude. Like I don't know, I hated group work in school because I wanted to take the helm on things, because I didn't like it when people kind of start molding something into something different than what I intended. But like when it comes to a band, and like the finished product still sounds so good, and then you realize that your finished product wouldn't have sounded anywhere near as good as this, you're just like, this is cool, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool about working with like Cameron and JoJo and just like everybody in the music scene. Like every time you meet someone and they show you what they're super proud to work on, and then you show them what you're super proud to work on. And then like I think it's even cooler whenever like they immediately offer you feedback and you're open to it, and you give them feedback and they're open to it, and then like you guys both come out as like better musicians and better songwriters and everything. Like those kind of conversations are like super fucking cool, and you can only have those conversations with people in the scene.
Right.
Because if you don't, people are just like, man, this guy never stops fucking talking about his band. But it's just like, no, that's not the. I just want to talk because I'm excited about it. I can't talk with anybody else about it. I only talk to the same two people about it, you know?
Right, yeah. It you know, you meet someone random and start talking to them about music and like, or just shows. That's something else that's kind of interesting about our generation, is that there's a lot of people that love music, but they just don't ever go out. Like they don't.
Oh, you don't have to now.
Like, yeah, well, yeah, you don't.
You stay
have
at home.
to.
You find 5 different bands.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And I'm guilty of that too. You know, I have a tendency to just.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that.
You
I
know,
mean, like
okay, I could go to this show and spend like $80 on this ticket, and it's a band I actually really like and would be really interested in seeing, but $80.
I think
like,
it's for sure up to the band and like the people who are doing the shows. It's their job to make you want to get out of the house. Like it's not someone's job. It's not someone's duty, and it's no one's job to support the local scene. Like you're in the entertainment business, you have to give people a reason to leave the house, and you have to give people a reason to want to go out to your shows. And so like it's not as easy as and like instilling that sense of duty is one way you can get people to go to shows, but you should never rely on it. It should never be like, yo, come support the local scene and come watch me play the show that I just posted this flyer of just now that I've known about for 2 months and did nothing about it, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, and there's a lot of bands that are content with that, and I think that, like, if you become content with that, and we're guilty of it too, but I think that, like, if you become content with that, you're going to get the results that you do for.
Yeah.
You're going to get those 2 people, and you're going to be a little upset when you know that if you would have put some time into it, put some money behind it, you have to put some money behind it and all that stuff. And
there's definitely kind of like a job aspect of a band.
Yeah. It's a job.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, you have to have a certain level of professionalism. You know, even if it's not like outwardly shown, you know, just in your process.
It just pays off a lot better.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah. Definitely.
I'm gonna go grab a beer. Would you like one?
Yes, please.
Cool. Gracias. Cameron, don't let the podcast die in the meantime.
All right. I'll try not to.
I'll ask you this question. What other projects are you currently playing? Because I do know you play in a lot of projects.
So I'm playing with Abelia, my math rock project. Still, we've been around for a while. I think we played a show recently.
Yeah,
together.
Tomcats.
Yeah.
That was fun. It was great to see you guys play again. I think the last time I saw you play was maybe a year and a half ago or something.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 years? I don't know. It definitely was a while. I think the last show I saw you play at, it was either the Backyard on Bell show or it might have been that show in Arlington at Mavericks.
Oh, at like Growl Records?
No, it wasn't at Growl. It would have been at Mavericks. It would like that bar that used to be like right next to Division.
Thank you. Okay. I'm blanking. I can't honestly remember the venue.
It was whenever I came to the show with Jess. I think that was before. I think that was before the. I think that was before the Backyard on Bell show, because that was like summertime. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I'm sorry. I don't. Just talking about.
I'm so bad at like remembering venues. Sometimes I'm like.
Yeah. So, do you have any more plans for? I know that Abelia just released a new EP. Right?
Yeah. We just put our new EP out a couple months ago, which took a while. That was like a year and a half in the making. So it's good to.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
I listened to it a few times. It's good stuff.
I saw a post like yesterday in my Facebook memories. It like showed a post and it was from you, and it's like a big year of releases coming up. And the first one was like our record. And the second one was the EP from Abelia. Is that the same one?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the other one is there was another one where you announced a werewolf EP. Is that
that one is still also still in the works. Same kind of situation there. But we met the other day and finalized the mixes.
Okay.
So that should actually be coming out pretty soon.
Nice.
But yeah, I guess to answer your question, just Werewolf, and then In Cycles and Circles, which I just kind of do some like drum programming for.
Oh, okay.
That's my buddy Zaylin, who does most of the writing. And
didn't you tour with them once?
Or we've only played one. Actually, I don't know if we've played. I think we only played one show.
Are you allowed?
In Cycles hasn't done much live stuff, but there are plans to this year to start playing more.
Are you allowed to like talk about the drum stuff that you do for the internet thing?
Yeah, for death battles. Stuff.
Yeah. You that's cool as shit. Do you know Rooster Teeth and Screw Attack and all that?
No.
There's an internet-based company called Rooster Teeth, and they're pretty big. They do lots of stuff, and they have this big thing called Death Battle. And I'm pretty sure you've seen it, but you might not know the name. But essentially, it's just like who would win in this fight, and it's like Spider-Man versus Batman, and like all these kind of different weird things. And yeah. He fucking does the drums for it, and he just says it so nonchalantly.
Some of the Aaron from Werewolf and Dan and Carlo, I guess, were friends or roommates with one of the Screw Attack guys a few years ago. And so Aaron does a lot of composing and like guitar lessons and stuff like that. And I guess a year or two back, they contacted him to just do some of the composing for the series and everything. And so he started doing that, and then
So it's a series?
Yeah, that shit
Yeah,
gets millions of views.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
They have a team that like goes in depth on each character and like, you know, looks up their strengths and weaknesses, and it's like a 20-minute YouTube video where they go like really in depth to each character and break it down.
Wow.
And then they do an animated fight scene that they have a whole animation team like build out and everything. So it's the music for that animated portion.
I think one
for
of
like
them,
the fight scene.
So you do the music for that?
I just do the drums, either like live track or I do the programming and then send that to Aaron, who like finishes
That's
up the
cool.
composing.
That's a pretty sick gig, and it's like proprietary. Like they are the only ones that do something like that, you know. So
Yeah,
I haven't heard anything like that before. That's
it's
really
a really
cool.
unique project. It's so fun. I usually get like you know, a rough kind of sketch of the animation and drumless backtracks to like write to. So I get to watch these fight scenes and then be like, oh, that dude's getting the shit kicked out of him. Let's make like a really heavy groove there. You know?
That's cool, dude.
That's badass. Well, cool, man. You got some cool stuff going on. So, brings me to my next question. What are your future plans for the band's worst case scenario?
Keep going. Keep going. Like, if we're talking short term, I think we would like to think long term, but I think it's just kind of, to me, that would kind of hurt the band. Like, if my long term goal was like, bro, I want to sell out like a big show, like a House of Blues or some shit like that, I think that's too far away to like reasonably plan to it. That could be like an interim goal, but like, what are the steps to that goal? And that's what you really have to flesh out, I think. So like right now, just my short term goal is just playing more shows and getting more people out there. I know we got the EP coming out super soon, and we're also working on something, like some other stuff for that.
Have you already set a release date?
Yeah, February 14th.
Okay.
Because, like I was saying earlier, February 14th in 2018 was the first time we played a show. February 14th in 2019 was the very first single that we released as a band. We took down all of our old demos and stuff because we were just like, if people find our band, we want them to hear this and only this, because this is what we're proud of and this is what should stand 20, 30 years from now.
I did the same thing.
Yeah. Dude, I looked
take all the old stuff off.
Yeah, and so we took everything down and we uploaded Check Engine Light and A Series of Bad Decisions as the first singles on February 14th, 2019. And so then whenever we finished the EP in late December, we were like, when should we release it? And we were like, well, we need a month to promo it no matter what, because when it comes to submitting stuff to Spotify curators and everything, you need at least a month. So we wouldn't be looking to release until early February anyway. And we're just like, well, February 14th, like we always do. Except here's where we fucked up. Everybody's releasing something on February 14th. Thyroids is releasing a new song, I think. I think that's today, though.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, everybody's releasing
something. They're releasing a song today?
I think so.
Or soon, sometime.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thyroids are great.
Dude, speaking of thyroids...
I know they released another EP this past
last year.
I think on the
summer.
James Dolly podcast, I think you were asking him if he had a local CD collection. And I think that I thought that was interesting. So we bought ours, dude.
All right.
Every time we play with a local band, we try to like collect CDs and stuff like that. So we bought all of our local stuff.
Cool.
See if you knew anything.
Hell yeah.
Man, Thyroids was badass.
Thyroids is cool, dude.
Oh, you got the gelatinous happiness.
Yeah, they're
nice.
the greatest.
Evergreen. Oh, Offended by Everything.
Yeah, dude.
Okay,
This is really
I've heard of
good.
them. Yeah. Forever Starts Today. I haven't heard.
They're
of
from
them.
Austin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The Idle Kind. I definitely have heard of them.
They're so fun. They haven't done anything as of late yet, but
Unknown
they're so fun.
Toxin. I don't think I've ever heard
Oh,
of them.
they're a fucking fantastic band.
Yeah?
They help
They're
us a
Sweet
lot.
dudes.
They're right up
okay.
to exactly what we're doing.
So just like same kind of punk.
Yeah,
punk
they're
music?
also on Sick Tight with us.
Hell yeah, dude.
I think you'd like them.
Cool. Yeah. Well, you know, that's something too, is that I noticed, like, as soon as you sent me the songs that you sent, I was like, man, these guys are right up my alley. Like, this is the kind of stuff I like to listen to. Like,
Hell
the
yeah.
Descendants and, like, Rancid and...
I love
you guys
Rancid.
even have a little bit of... I mean, it's primarily pop punk, which you guys play, but...
Yeah.
And this is probably just because it's punk, but, like, Dead Kennedys... I
That
get
has
some
to
of
be
that vibe.
that has to be because of the punk. Because like I've never really listened to Dead Kennedy.
And maybe
I listened to Holiday in Cambodia. That's them.
I think it was like only one song on the album that I got that connection. Anyways, Further North, never heard of them.
Further north.
Oh, we played with them at RBC recently.
Yeah.
I think that was their first show actually. So I think they're just starting to play around.
That's a cool album.
But they were really good, really well produced and solid.
It. Almost seems like this scene like reminds me of the Matrix for some reason. Like, you know, like whenever he's at the top of the building, and for the listeners, it's just an airplane in the middle of four buildings.
For the listeners, go to Spotify and check it out. Go to a show and buy the record.
Houston and the Dirty Rats.
They're from New Jersey. They are the headliners of. We throw them in there because they're
3-Link show.
Yeah, we put them in there just because like they're still technically local DIY stuff, but like not local here, New Jersey. And they're fucking cool as shit. They're very similar to NoFX.
Animal Jam. That's a cool.
They're
I
really
think
cool.
They're Denton based. Maybe I might be wrong. Maybe
really?
Dallas, but they're awesome.
Dude, I love
They're like
Animal
Dance
Jam.
Gavin
They're really
Dance
cool.
kind of vibes.
Cool.
Really sick guys.
Holophonics.
They are a ska band, and they like primarily do like. Well, they got big off like covers and stuff. They covered like top 40 stuff and like all ska-esque kind of things.
Oh yeah,
and that is like their.
List is pretty...
Yeah, that was their OG. I mean, not their OG, but like their more original stuff. I saw them.
They are from Denton too.
At Ska by Ska West at 3 Links, and like, well, dude, I found out about it 'cause I got cut early from work, and I was like 6 o'clock, and I was just having a beer upstairs at my job because I work at the Alamo and it's like a beer bar and stuff. So I was having a beer, and like, it must have been like 8 or something. It was like late enough to where like I knew that if I went to a show, I would miss it anyway. And then like it was like, oh, like 30 minutes from now, the Holophonics will be playing, and there's like Ska by Ska West. It was like a festival, and it was the last day of it, blah blah blah. And I was just like, I'm 10 minutes away from 3 Links. I might as well. So I just immediately tabbed out and drove down there. And I paid like the $15 to get in because it was like a fast thing with all the bands. Even though I only went for Holophonics. And dude, they were cool, man. They were really... I got to talk to the band afterwards, and I was like, yo, like, y'all were sick. Like, I came after work, and like... I told them, I just asked them, like, yo, like, they had like 4 records. And, like, which one, like, is your, like, the one that you're just like the most stoked about?
I appreciate ska music. It's definitely not something that I listen to fairly regularly or anything.
Dude.
But whenever I'm in the mood, ska music is just...
Have you ever heard of a band called Suicide
fun.
Machines?
I've heard of them.
Okay.
I don't think I've listened to them.
You know them?
Yeah.
What the fuck? How? When?
I actually just found them like last week. They're pretty sick.
Was it... Did I send it to you or something? Because that's when I found them. Last week.
No, I was listening to there's apparently a big Mexican ska band called Inspector, and I was just letting it play automatically its radio, and I found them through that too.
Dude, I found him because I was talking to one of my kitchen guys. His name's Jay, and he was like, yeah, man, blah, blah, blah. And he was talking about music, and he's like, you ever heard of the Suicide Machines? And I was like, uh-uh. He's like, they're right up your alley. He's like, they're like the modern day Operation Ivy. And so I hear that, and I'm just like, fuck yeah. So I listened to it.
Yeah, I really got into Operation Ivy in high school.
I never really got into... I really like Sound System. I liked it when they were like fast kind of ska.
Okay.
I never really got into like the more slower stuff, you know?
Oh, okay.
Sound System was sick though. I mean, that's the only thing I know about him, honestly. Except when Green Day covers Knowledge.
Audrey Lane?
No, New Heroes.
Yeah, New Heroes. That is Mr. Sick Tight himself.
Mr. Sick.
Oh, alright.
Dude, I put him in a chat with us, and I fucking named him Mr. Sick Tight, and I don't think he noticed because he never said anything.
The album cover kind of reminds me of American football. Just just a house.
Yeah.
That's cool. Alright, you guys got a nice music collection.
We try to pick up a CD from like whoever we play with, but sometimes you're just in a band and you got no money.
Yeah. Well, I'm
like,
excited to play with you guys. It's gonna be a fun show.
Dude, hell yeah.
I wanna keep in touch even after that show.
For sure.
Which I think is March 6th.
I would love to just keep doing the podcast. We like come back every couple times, dude. I would love to. Like, I mean, like, I don't know. I'm a big fan of podcasts. I think that like there's a big it's really cool to like just sit here and talk. And like the cool thing about podcasts, it separates from interviews. Interviews are 10 minutes long. You know, if you like a band and you want to get to know about them, and there's a 2-hour long podcast, it's just like fun to just throw on, dude, and just like chill and listen. Yeah. I use podcasts just for even like background noise, like in my house, like if the office isn't on repeat, like it's just like, I just need music, something that I can listen to, something with words I can like just listen to, and like I don't know. When it comes to music and I'm just sitting in my room, I don't want to listen to it over and over. Podcast,
Yeah,
amazing though.
I love podcasts.
Yeah, podcast.
But I'm also that kind of person that grew up with just like my dad throwing on. I don't know if you the Texas News Channel thing. Like I would wake up every morning for school and the Texas News Channel would just be going
on like Channel 5 in the morning or whatever.
I don't think it was like it was on Time Warner, and it was some news channel that was centered around Texas. I remember because it had a little channel ID, and the channel ID would be
I think I know what you're talking about.
Dr. Pepper made in like Houston, Texas. You're watching the Texas weather whatever channel,
and they would have if it was just like a Texas news channel or something, right? It was like kind of the set, because I remember something.
I feel like it was called TXU, but I don't think it is.
I remember there was something on a channel that was like Texas based. That was they had bands play at like midnight or something on a Tuesday or like a Wednesday. Yeah, I don't think it's still around anymore, but I remember being in, I think like 5th grade or in middle school. That was pretty cool. I don't even remember what it was called.
I think it'd be really cool, like MTV, like, you know, kind of got big off like music, just playing like live. I mean, not live, but like music videos and stuff. And like that doesn't really work anymore because like everybody just kind of like looks up what they want to look at YouTube and all that stuff. I think it'd be really cool if there were still like channels like that did that for like live performances. I think live performances should be filmed more and put up like on viewing, because like fuck, I love just like going home and just like listening to music. Yeah. But live performance especially, I got this killer sound system, and so like you just listen to live bands and like,
man, that's like, have you guys seen NPR, those Tiny Desk session videos?
Yeah, dude, I love that shit, man.
Those are so fun to just watch.
Yeah,
like, go to the next one, see all those stripped down
session videos where they just kind of go in and play live.
I'm such a huge fan of stuff like that.
Yeah, and what's cool about that too is that if you know how to work video and audio stuff, and you're kind of good at, you know, imaging and transitions as far as like video editing goes, you can just do it on your own, and it'll, I mean, it's not guaranteed you're gonna get the same followership or anything, because KAXP and Audio Tree sessions, I mean, they're very well established, and there's people that actively go there to find new bands. Or
do you have a bathroom I may use?
Yeah, it's if you open that door, it's the door. Yeah,
just pee in the shower.
On the right, closest to the front door where you came in.
Closest to the front on the right.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. Go on, sub in.
All right.
Yeah. So the Centineo Studios that the album was recorded at and everything, he's done a couple live sessions out of his place as well.
Oh yeah.
That he has up on YouTube that are pretty cool. I think he has like 4 or 5 of them. Kind of similar, you know, like Audio Tree kind of vibes.
Yeah, we're actually gonna do something like that. Our drummer Aiden, he has a bunch of video and audio like recording equipment, and he can put together, and he knows how to edit things and get good camera angles and stuff. So we're gonna do something in kind of along that lines, and we're just gonna put it out ourselves.
Nice.
Just kind of like a.
I remember we did that with Justin a while back too, right? The single car sessions.
Yeah, the single car sessions. You did that with Abelia, right?
Yeah, I think. Did you do one as well?
I did. I did one with the Delzells. We didn't do like an entire one or anything. We just like did a song on an episode about Foundation 45. But Pauseville did do one. Like maybe a couple of weeks before he stopped doing them.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that was really cool. And Retro Lab used to do one. I know that they aren't doing one anymore, because I was talking to what's his name? Matthew. Yeah, I think I was talking to Matthew, and he was telling me that like a tree fell down on their house.
Oh dang!
So it's like it's in construction right now, and so they aren't doing them, but they want to bring it back in the future at least. But if I had the time and the money, I would totally be on that. I would love organizing bands to be on that sort of thing,
Like
and then
consistent,
doing like
yeah.
a podcast kind of thing afterwards or whatever.
Oh, that'd be way cool.
Yeah. No, it's just cool. Some people, like, some talk shows, they really talk to them for a bit, and then they play the live music afterwards. Yeah, that's just...
Yeah. And I would, if I did something like that, I would almost, like, make it a separate thing. Like, they would do their live session, and then the podcast would be released whenever the live session was released, but it could be a situation where, like, you could go listen to the podcast and not have to go watch the video.
Yeah, it's like
it wouldn't be
forms of media, like
right. It wouldn't be all together in one thing.
That's smart. Like diversify across different ways to like. I mean, people
because not everybody wants to
media
watch a
in
video.
like different ways.
Yeah. Not everybody wants to watch a video, and not everybody wants to watch a video where bands are playing and then they have all of these breaks where they're talking in between each song. As a listener, sometimes you just want to see a video of someone playing a song and then you want to move on. So that's also something kind of, I mean, you probably have a lot more experience in this sort of thing than I do, but whenever it comes to advertising and being present online as far as a band goes, you do kind of have to tailor on some level the mediums that your music is accessible towards and like the things that you do as a musician to like gain exposure online through those kind of videos thing. You really have to be mindful about how the listener or someone who's not an avid music listener would discover you, and and so it's very important to think about those sort of things. But on some level too, I feel like, and maybe this is just me, but there's I feel very drained about the whole process of trying to set yourself apart now.
Oh, man.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, everybody seems to be doing the same thing, and if they're not doing the same thing, there's someone doing something very similar to you. So it's like, how do you make yourself stand out anymore?
I mean, social media is just, like, ramped up so fast over the years. There's so many bands and artists on there. I don't know. I feel like it's just the bands and artists that can be, like, I don't know, as genuine to themselves as they are, then that'll come across.
Oh, yeah.
Through.
We've come up with some pretty tacky stuff to stick out on live performances. Actually, want to show you a couple of stuff we got.
No
Those are
way,
business
dude.
Cards.
Hell yeah.
Trust me, those are just business cards and nothing else.
Oh, that's hilarious. If you're listening, he just handed me 2 worst case scenario condoms.
I apologize.
This is fucking... Whose idea was this?
Well, it was his idea, and I was so confused as to why he wanted to do that.
Dude, this is fucking hilarious. This is great. Dude, high five for that.
Dude, I'll just give you a little
That's fucking... Oh my god. Where did you get the idea from? You were just fucking around one day and be like, hey, let's just do this.
We were thinking about it, and we were just like, when it comes to like merch and stuff, like I felt like the music scene, from what I had saw, didn't really feel like, I don't know how to say this in a nice way, in a very nice way. I don't want to be mean at all, but I just felt like from what I was seeing from the local scene had been done kind of already. Like, I would go to shows and I would see they'd have the same merch, they'd have the same beanies, the same shirts, and we have it too, no disrespect. But I felt like there wasn't like any pushing the bar, so we started looking up like what could we do to kind of push that bar that would seem very cheap enough to where we could do it and it would be funny, but we wouldn't break the bank on it. And so we started looking up like crazy ideas. And so I take no credit for the idea. Daft Punk had the idea. They had Get Lucky condoms.
No way. I didn't know that.
It was something that when I saw it, I was like, I don't think anybody knew about this because I didn't know about that. Like, Get Lucky condoms.
No, I never heard.
And so, like, I was like, if we do it too, like, nothing wrong with that, So we just made worst case scenario condoms. We are like, I couldn't think of something that was like more pop punky.
Yeah.
And then like
you definitely
know,
works for your style of music.
Yeah. You'll remember the band that threw a condom at you.
And funny enough, it also works for Daft Punk's music.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I loved it, dude. And like when we got them, like They looked so good. Hello, family.
This is probably the most wholesome piece of merch I've ever gotten from a band.
Yeah.
This is great.
Sitting on a drum stool camera, does it feel the same?
Yeah, I felt it would be fitting if I took the drum stool.
Thanks for coming out, guys. Do you have any particular shows that you are currently advertising?
I'm gonna come over here real quick.
Getting ready to.
So
Well,
the next show is February 15th.
This Saturday.
Yeah, it's
This
Saturday.
Saturday.
Oh, this is gonna be the EP release, right?
No, this is
Okay.
is a Valentine's Day house show that we got asked to hop on with Unknown Toxin. Yes,
Yes, ma'am, and Goodbye Gloria.
Mm.
And I mean, the EP comes out the day before, so we're gonna promote the EP on that same show.
Mm.
It's not
Maybe.
the EP release show, but it's the EP release.
Yeah, it's not the EP release show, but
It's
it
the
is.
EP release show.
Yeah. It's an unofficial.
Dude, nice Mountain Dew undies, by the way, dude.
Oh yeah.
Dude, he's
My-
sitting here like the whole thing butt naked on Mountain Dew undies.
No, I'm not. Those are pajamas, by the way.
Aw. We'll make them underwear.
Well, cool. Thanks for coming out and doing this, guys. It's nice
Yeah.
to meet you.
Thank you for having us.
Joshua
appreciate it.
and
I'm Juan.
Juan and Cameron. I'm excited to play with you guys. Good luck in the future. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.